Welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, where we bring you conversations with the top business minds on Long Island and around the nation every week. Featuring expert consultants and small business owners who have found success but are also willing to share their top tips, failures, and give gritty, matter-of-fact advice based on their firsthand experience. Now, let's get down to business on Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
And welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation. My name is Donyshia Boston-Hill, CEO of Keeper, the brand marketing and digital agency, and we're focused on being the premier resource for business and entrepreneurship. We bring you weekly business advice, tips, tools, and services that help you grow your business. Plus, we interview some of the top business leaders in the industry. Today, we are presenting another episode of the Lady Mogul COVID Entrepreneur Summit. I'm Donyshia Boston-Hill, and our guest co-host today is Tricia Messeroux, CEO of Toddlewood and the T-Maz Creative Group. Tricia, thanks for coming back again.
Thanks for having me.
So, for those newcomers, tell us a little bit about Lady Moguls.
Okay, so I'm very happy to do this again with my partner, Donyshia Boston-Hill. We created Lady Mogul some time ago, and it's really a platform for women, like-minded women in terms of entrepreneurship, business owners, and future business owners to come together, share ideas, talk about the ups and the downs, and really be as transparent as possible in terms of what it means to own a business and how you can get started. And quite honestly, just helping another woman get there too. So we're, really excited about our next couple of guests for this forum, this panelist. So first we have Dr. Nikki Bell. She is a cosmetic dentist, and she's also known as the Lip Doctor. And she'll give us a lot of insight about what she does and so on. And then we have Yvonne McNair, and she's the CEO of Captivate Marketing Group. CMG, Captivate Marketing Group. And so we're getting a lot, and both of these women are, really like going for it. They have really established themselves in their own respective industries in terms of being leaders and really successful in what they're doing. And so, with what is going on in today's world, I have to say the world, is COVID-19 and how that's affecting all our businesses in every single industry. So I'd like to start off with Yvonne. If you're ready, I'd love to you can take off mute actually. Yvonne, if you can give everybody an understanding of your company, Captivate Marketing Group, and what you do and what kind of clients you have and so on and so forth. So just give us a background of who you are and what Captivate Marketing Group is.
Sure, absolutely. So as you mentioned, I'm an event producer and I do event marketing as well, mainly focused around the entertainment industry. So I do a lot of concerts, I do a lot of festivals. I work with artists to help them develop their shows as well as build their brand. So I've been in business for 12 years and worked with pretty much every brand you can think of and every major artist that you know. I've usually have worked with them in some way.
Awesome. Oh, can you give us a couple of examples of type of artists that you
Sure. I worked with Prince, Teddy Riley, Dougie Fresh, MC Light. I'm like, who else? I mean, Estelle. Yeah. It's
I know
it's
that
all over the
happens
place.
too. The list is long. You can't even come up with three. It happens to me all. I get it. But very impressive, really impressive resume. So we're very happy to have you here. Dr. Nikki Bell, the Lip Doctor, tell us about and you can give us a little bit example of the evolution of your companies because you and I are friends, so I know your story a little bit more. So
you do.
Go for it.
So the practice is called Cosmetic Laser Dental Studio. It has existed now for 20 years. We've been in business. And we've expanded also from Long Island to downtown Brooklyn, close to the Barclays Center. And what we've enjoyed is taking all of the nuances in medicine and combining them. So it incorporates some dentistry, cosmetic dentistry, medical injectable procedures such as Botox and Juvederm, and body sculpting procedures. We have estheticians, so we have it's also a spa environment. It's more of a boutique style practice. And we've even incorporated some interesting services like nutritional counseling. And more recently, we've even added a product line. So we also incorporated skincare and makeup products that our patients can enjoy and use to enhance their treatments. And we really kind of like try to focus on the whole body now comprehensively, not just the face. And it's been a lot of fun. As Tricia mentioned, we have evolved quite a bit. But it's been a fun process, and we're learning more and more about how we can expand. And I think that this entire pandemic has forced us to have to expand even more recently.
Right. So you have a lot of line extensions,
yes.
Both on the actual person itself, just extended to different parts of the person, but also extending in terms of products. How many offices do you have, or how many did you start with, and where are you now? What's been your evolution?
I've always had one major office, which is considered my hub on Long Island. And I would say for the past 15 years, I've had another location. So initially it wasn't in Brooklyn, it was in Manhattan on 57th Street, and then we eventually moved it over to downtown Brooklyn when there was like a resurgence in the Brooklyn area, and it became very popular.
Nice. And Yvonne, what about you as far as offices are concerned? Are you home-based, or do you have an office, and how do you work with your team?
Yeah, I do have an office. I'm located in Harlem. But a lot of my team, I have team all over the country because I do events all over the country. So I have a lot of independent contractors like in LA and Chicago and Detroit. So a lot of our work, even though I have a main office, a lot of our work is basically virtually. So we're already working virtually because I have people all over the country.
And that's what I truly laugh about, because, the pain point of the pandemic is everyone's home. And it's like, for business owners like ourselves, we're virtual and we're always on the go. So this is not, but there's some slight shifts and pivoting, especially with the live event and entertainment section. Can you just talk about some of those pain points and how you're making adjustments?
Sure. I mean, I think as everyone knows during this pandemic, that there aren't any live events. There are no large gatherings. I mean, we're all in the house, but even when we start seeing cities open and states open for the rest of 2020, they've basically said no large gatherings. So with that being said, since a lot of my business is concerts and festivals, that makes it very challenging because, I won't be able to produce any live events this year. So I have shifted obviously to virtual and working through making virtual experiences feel as close to a live experience as possible. So a lot of people have jumped on initially and just started doing things, like on their IG or on Facebook or whatever, but I'm working through the technology to actually put live performances where you can have some lighting and you can have, real good audio and things like that to make it feel as live as possible.
Oh, you mean like is on a stage, like stage performance type of thing?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So some will be in live stream studios, but even if you're in your home, we have the ability to do a lot of stuff in post. So we can send you a green screen and then we can add graphics and animation and things like that to make it feel like you're at a live performance. Because what's going to happen is like everybody's working virtually. It's 1 million Zoom calls a day. But at a certain point, people are going to be tired of seeing things virtual. Right. So we have to really be creative to make our events and make these live performances stand out from everything that's out there.
Okay. And how many of your clients are actually, transitioning to this and are agreeing and working together to make this happen, this live performance experience happen?
Yeah, it's not that many actually. Like I would say, 15, well, let me say this. There's 15% of the brands that I work with that are, transitioning to virtual. The rest have just canceled and said, we'll be back next year. In terms of entertainers, because the entertainment industry is completely shut down, all of them are looking to go to a virtual platform in some form. And, some of the things that we've seen with, like Instagram or Facebook and some of the platforms is there's a lot of problems with sound, which is so critical. So that's why we're working through other options so that people can perform live. But all of the entertainers are looking to go to a virtual format because there's no touring that's going to happen this year.
Yes. And we all have had the experience of audio being an issue with a very famous duo.
Absolutely. Who somebody I work with.
We all know.
Yes.
When you see people, it could be an artist. They can be on Instagram and they're performing their own music or Facebook, and it doesn't matter. You're going to get shut down. They call it the Facebook or Instagram jail. So that is stopping. So that's definitely a challenge to work through. But I think we will definitely get there little by little.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll switch to Nikki. So you say, there's obviously some transitioning happening and you've had to pivot as well. You want to talk to us about what that looks like in your offices?
Sure. It's actually, it brings a little smile to my face because I'm enjoying the changes, and I'll share with you why. So I also do quite a bit of training through my office. So I teach other physicians and nurses and doctors how to add these services to their offices and give them certificate training on the specific procedures. So they can come to me for Botox training, for filler training, and there are different levels. And so I've had to integrate that into my private practice, and now I can't have them physically come in. So it's been a lot of fun. We've been videotaping webinars, and I do also a lot of Zoom lectures, and it's so accessible and so much easier. I have a broader audience now, and I have people that reach out to me daily and sign up for the courses. And now even our drug reps, surprisingly, are allowing us to sign a waiver to do procedures in our home. We still can, or in the office, but you can practice doing the procedures safely, provided you follow their protocol. So we are practicing under the jurisdiction of like New York State's medical associations and the Department of Health. So every day we get updates as to what the new standards of care are and what our staff needs to do and be prepared for, and we have to train them as well. So I have daily meetings and communication with my staff where I have to also send them updates on what they're expected to do so they're prepared when we open up again on the 15th. So it's been really interesting, but what we enjoy doing and it has picked up quite a bit is our online sales of the product. So a lot of patients are without their facials and they had scheduled procedures and they need some kind of home care. So we've been able to provide maintenance products, and that's been interesting and fun. And if they came to us for like nutritional counseling services, we also are able to do that via webinars. And the biggest change for all physicians and anyone in the medical field are the virtual consultations and the statutes of limitations on that, and then what ethically we can and cannot do. And that's been really interesting because you have to have them consent. And then also you just have to just make sure that you still present the same amount of information and have an adequate medical history. So my patients are able to engage with me like from home now. And in my opinion, it's very nice because I can make sure that I provide like a quicker session with them, and I am able to accomplish a lot more consultations throughout the day. And it's been a nice way to also be able to just like access new people once again. So those are the biggest changes that I've experienced.
You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Donyshia Boston-Hill, along with Tricia Messeroux, bringing you the Lady Mogul Entrepreneur COVID-19 Summit.
Great. So thank you for that, Nikki. So you talked about your the way you've shifted and you're working things out and making it work for you. And I'm assuming the wonderful thing is that what we're hearing is that you've extended again, because now you're doing trainings and workshops. You just got a little octopus. You extended again because you're doing all these workshops and trainings for other doctors and dentists and potential doctors, not using that, that trademark. Exactly. But your clients, I can only assume your visits, because you are able to do your procedures under certain, process and procedure guidelines. Right. The number of clients has decreased, obviously, because there's, there's those rules and social distancing and what have you. So how are they handling it? Are they feeling a sense of frustration that they can't get their services that they normally would at a drop of a hat? And how are you handling that?
Yeah, so that's the probably the greatest sentiment. I feel that most people they feel a loss. They have a sense of attachment to that practitioner, and they just really trust that person and their services, and they're not really understanding, like, what do I do if I am not able to keep up my regimen? And then when am I able to again? And then how safe is it? And so what we've had to do is provide a lot of material that goes out to them on a regular basis. And so as we receive the updates, then we take that and translate that information to the patient. So they have an understanding of how we prepare the office and how the office environment will be severely changed. So their experience will now be different, but they're prepared for it. So of course, the way that we clean the office has to be different. And the way that we sterilize any instruments in the office is a little different. We went from our support staff and estheticians not wearing any PPE, and although I myself do and a lot of the medical assistants do, now it's mandatory for everyone in the office. We also have to practice a safe distance in the office. I'm only allowed to have a limited amount of staff work at one particular time in different areas of the office. And so all of that is a very huge change. It also affects their employment because, if there are several people in the receptionist area, now we're only permitted to have one, that changes their work hours and their work week. So, we're finding ways to compensate for that with some of these virtual outlets that we're adding to the office. And since we have a huge social media presence, and you can see us on Instagram daily at the Lip Doctor with 2 E's. But if you follow us, then you're able to see the changes, which is very nice. I'm glad that we already had that established, like a large following on social media, so they can visibly see the changes. I send them updates also in personal messages, and that way, they come in and they won't feel so timid, and they won't leave the office with so many fears. I hope that they understand that, I will follow the proper protocol, and that I will make sure that they're in the safest environment possible.
Sure.
Nice. So now, Yvonne, you are a seasoned entertainment professional. You got your started decades ago under the tutelage of, Barry Gordy's sister. That's amazing, under the guidelines of, the foundation of, the Motown Museum. What's your keys to success for those people that are out there that are listening and wondering how do they pivot and how do they keep pushing forward?
So how I've been pivoting right now during this time is really just trying to stay visible. And because a lot of small businesses are concerned that they won't be able to bounce back. So I'm staying visible. I'm staying, in communication with my clients, even though we don't have events that we're working on, letting them know I'm still here, that I'm still pushing forward. I've started a series on my Facebook where I'm doing, different interviews with some of my clients and that I work with on a regular basis just to stay really visible. So, but my key to success is really just never giving up. That's like the major thing is I'm not going to give up. I've had other challenges. I mean, obviously this is something that none of us have experienced before, but never giving up. I'm very persistent. And then also just being very resourceful during this time, since I don't have, a product or service or anything like you have, which I wish I did at this point, but since I don't have that, is just really trying to figure out how, I help my clients in a different way. So coming up with different strategies to help them still engage with their consumers because all of their live events have gone away where, they can't get that brand messaging out. So just being really resourceful. And then, the other thing that I'm doing is just, I'm still networking, during this time because I think it's easier to get in touch with people right now. And so, everyone's, on their email, people are taking calls. So I'm still networking and trying to still, build prospective clients so that when this ends, hopefully I can, meet with them in person as opposed to virtually. But, hopefully I'm building the relationship during this time.
Absolutely. And do you feel like this is your passion and purpose? Like what keeps driving you forward?
You know what I do? I love what I do and I love a challenge also. So obviously, to me, nothing will ever replace a live event. But the challenge, is like I said earlier, is just really trying to figure out how do I make it feel? Because a lot of people are saying just shift to virtual events. And there's a different dynamic with virtual events. Some people don't translate that well in terms of virtual events. Some people don't perform as well. They need, a big band or they need all these different elements. So it's really working with clients to understand how they also have to pivot. It's not just me moving the event to a virtual platform. There's different things that they need to do to still engage and make consumers interested because we're doing 50 Zoom calls a day, so it's like, how do we, make sure that people aren't burnt out from looking at something online? So I'm really just trying to think out the box. I think it's pushing me into, being a little more uncomfortable because it's not so natural for me to do it this way. So I'm just getting out of that, comfort zone.
Yeah, I think we all are getting out of our comfort zone. Everyone and everywhere. So I got a co-sign on that one. Piggybacking on something Nikki had said in terms of staffing, Yvonne, I know as far as a lot of companies, a lot of other entrepreneurs that we met with and interviewed, including myself, we've had to, break some hearts. There are people who, really relied on us or, we were a second income or whatever it is. How does that work? Because you have touch points, and I don't know if they're all 1099s or they're full-time or whatever, but some of them relied on you to give them those jobs, what does that look like right now,
Yeah. So the 1099 contractors that I work with, it's per event. So although they, are looking for, because I do a set amount of events and very large events, so they were looking forward to that income. They're a little more understanding. Like my actual, full-time staff, I have had to reduce the staff because I just don't have as much going on right now. And that was very difficult for me because some people have been with me for a long time and I hope that they'll come back when things, are back to normal. But it was really heartbreaking to have to do that. But the work just isn't there for me to keep carrying the staff the way I was.
Agreed.
Yeah, you are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of 90.3 WHPC, Nassau Community College. My name is Donyshia Boston-Hill, along with Tricia Messeroux, and our guests today are Yvonne McNair and Dr. Nikki Bell DDS.
So one thing as far as, this is for both of you, one thing as far as, Yvonne would know this, to marketing is concerned, because I actually, my background, I come from the world of, advertising. So, the agencies and what have you. And it is marketing. So it's always forecasting and figuring out, what is going to happen next year, or the year after, or the year after that, and how you can put it together and sell and pitch, right, to clients. What do you have a game plan as that is concerned, in terms of, obviously 2020 is probably a wash for a lot of people, but in terms of where they used to be. 2022, I'm sorry, I'm skipping already. 2021, there could be, greater opportunity for all businesses to be ready to get back into be in a better place. So in terms of your event marketing company, are you pitching to clients for the next year and seeing what you can get on the books?
Absolutely. At this point, some people are a little hesitant for the first quarter 21 events. They're still a little hesitant because we don't know what's going to happen, and we can't really predict. But for, my spring and summer and fall events, they're ready to, start changing and turning their focus on those events. Everyone is trying to remain hopeful that by next spring, that we will have more of a return to normalcy. I mean, everyone says it'll never go back to how it was, but we'll have more of a return to normalcy. And then it's also figuring out, if it's not a situation where we can do as big as we used to do, how do we, do we break it up in days? Like, how do we still get that number of attendance that we would get, but do we spread it out a little more? So yeah, we're working on strategy for 2021, but most people for the first quarter are still very nervous because they don't know what to expect.
There's still an unknown. Yes.
It's still an unknown. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, Nikki, we're going to wrap it up in a few minutes. Nikki, could you tell everyone, how they can get in touch with you, and all different touch points and what have you, from the dentists of the world or the potential new patients of the world, so that they can reach out to you and hopefully keep your business going?
Thank you. Of course. So our most popular platform is Instagram, and I'm on there as the Lip Doctor. And it's spelled with 2 E's, so T-H-E-E, Lip Doctor. And we also do, of course, have a Facebook page and a YouTube page, and they're all linked, so it's very easy to find. And I'd also just like to add that, fortunately for me, because my office is more cosmetic, interestingly enough, the dentistry, so my dentists that are in my practice will have a later start than us because of the amount of aerosols from the virus that could potentially be in the air. It's not really safe for us to do full services yet. Okay. So we don't even know when we'll be 100% back 100% performing our dental services. However, our elective services can start. So our injectables do not cause aerosols. Nothing shoots out. Right. And in the air, and could potentially cause a lot of harm to us or to the patient, which is, nice to know. So it is a safer procedure. And because of that, our services will be opening again on the 15th, which is when the New York State pause really comes to an end. A lot of the businesses will come to an end and then be reopening. I do provide the consultations, so I'm still actively involved with seeing everyone. So basically, I use very little PPE, which is known as the everything that we have to wear protectively in our environment to make sure that we don't cause any harm to the patient and vice versa. Okay. Plus, I don't need as much. What I've done instead is started a GoFundMe page that is actually purchasing more PPE for a lot of doctors that are in environments that are highly effective and then also transmittable. And because of it, they're not changing their PPE on a regular basis.
Okay. We're actually having a little trouble hearing you. You're breaking in and out, but we actually have to wrap up anyhow. So thank you for that. But at least they know how they can get in touch with you. And Yvonne, can you just let everyone know really quickly how we can go ahead and get in touch with you for your services and just some brainstorm and some ideas and things like that? Yes.
Absolutely. So my website and Instagram are both Captivate Marketing Group. So you can find me on the web or through Instagram.
Okay, fantastic.
Tricia, Yvonne, Dr. Bell, we'd like to thank you all for joining us today, and thank you for being our guest. My name is Donyshia Boston-Hill, your co-host and producers. This is an NCC Foundation Business Leaders Council production. Visit ncc.edu/WHPC for more information. Available on iHeartRadio, as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcast, and Spreaker. This is Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.